Le Ballon Rouge is a half-an-hour short film. It's a French film from 1956, and it was made by a pioneering filmmaker called Albert Lamorisse, who was much an adventurer and a pioneer with photography before he discovered what he could do with a motion picture camera. It just happens that in 1950 his little son was born, Pascal Lamorisse, who by the time it came to 1955, 1956, he was old enough to play the lead character in this little film. The Red Balloon is a very special film. It is the film that gained Albert the international recognition that he ended up having until his untimely death by exploration in a hot air balloon. In this case, it is a perfect marriage of real and fiction. What we've got is a little boy played by Pascal who is wandering around, and rather out of the blue he sees this red balloon which is tied up on a lamppost, and he picks it up, or he unstrings it, and he walks with it, and very quickly the two, him and the balloon, become very close friends. What is amazing about the film is that throughout most of the story it's incredibly real and honest portrayal of life, certainly from the eyes of a kid. He encounters little local bullies, he encounters his troubles, perhaps troubles that he might have encountered anyways, being of that age in that place. And yet he's comforted by this balloon, this bright red balloon, which really strikes out compared to the more mundane greys and blues of the buildings and the people of the era. It is a film that maybe is entirely real, but it captures the child's imagination in a very vivid way. So it gives us as an audience not only the opinion about what was Paris like in those days, and what might have happened really if a kid found a balloon, which is quite feasible, it's quite possible. It goes into what does the balloon mean to the boy in terms of inner motives, in terms of inner feelings. And of course the two strike a friendship. They strike a friendship in which the balloon develops a character. The balloon follows him to school. He is told to leave the balloon, but the balloon tries to come back and find him. There's only one moment in the film when the balloon is not strictly adhering to the kid, and that is when the boy walks along a pavement and meets a little girl, and she's got a balloon, but the balloon's blue. And for a moment the balloons drift together and they stay together for a little while. The boy looks at the girl and they have a bit of an exchange, a visual exchange more than anything. And then, as boys of that age do, I want to move on, so he moves on. And although the balloons, for a moment, for a brief moment, showed the intention of wanting to stay together, they separate, they go their own ways. The red balloon follows the boy, the blue balloon follows the girl. So although it's a film about formings of relationships, and you think the boy who wants a friend finally meets this little girl who could be his neighbour and could be his new neighbourhood friend, what we have is a slightly fantastic climax to the film. There is a suspense that is provided by the local bullies or by other local characters of all ages, in which, without necessarily being told, but we're being shown very graphically how nearly everyone disapproves of what the boy's doing. Maybe they want their share, or maybe they don't like what he's doing and they think that he should be doing other things. And that's where the fantasy element comes in, because the balloon keeps on drifting back to the boy and ultimately takes him with him. I don't want to spoil this one. It's a half-an-hour film that I think you can find on the internet somewhere, and it's definitely worth a watch because it's a very special film. What Albert does with this film in terms of photography is he honestly captures the true essences of life, regardless of whether it's fact or fiction. Albert was this very realist filmmaker, an adventurer, a documentarian. And his first film, which he made in 1951, was a 45-minute film called Bim, which I've seen, and it's fantastic. And it's about an Arab boy called Abdullah, who's a bit lonely, and he befriends a donkey. This relationship, this friendship is forbidden, and yet he prevails, he pursues, and he continues to go with this donkey. So not only does the director have an interest in multicultures and young boys, as he was oneself a young boy, finding himself, maybe fantasizing about who he can interact with, who he can get on well with, who he can be with, and who he can be happy with, who he can open his imagination up with. But he's got this thing about who is the friend who I want to have, not who I can have, or not where are the bullies, but who is the friend who I can rely on. And in Bim, it's actually a donkey, and obviously the red balloon, it's the balloon itself. Although there are other potentials for him, but it just gives you that intimate sense of what is the kid feeling and what is he thinking and why. And throughout, we don't get all the answers we want, but we end up not needing them, because we end up being very satisfied by what the film gives us, what the story gives us, and what the character had given us. We end up feeling quite happy, and we end up thinking, who knows what could happen? Anything could happen. The relationship between him and the balloon could blossom, or they could end up somewhere else and meet someone else, or encounter a different balloon. Something could happen to the balloon, something could happen to the boy. It's open. To that degree, it's open. It was a film made independently. The score is very nice, not very noticeable, which is always a good thing. It doesn't stand out. It accompanies the picture. The photography is, again, it's invisible, but it's very suitable for the environment. It's very suitable for the story and for the characters that develop. There is humour, there is drama, there is suspense. And I think when you can deliver all of those within half an hour or around half an hour time, that is always something that is quite special for an audience. The rating I gave this film is 8 out of 10. It's very difficult for me to go higher than that. There are some films that we'll discover together eventually that I give a 9 to, but that is as rare as it gets. I mean, I don't give 10 to anything. So 8 out of 10 for this is very special. We're offered this opportunity to enjoy this moment with this little boy and with his balloon. And I personally believe that we all have balloons out there in life. It's just about who finds it, when do they find it, where do they find it, how long do they spend with the balloon, and what happens afterwards. I think most of those questions have answers, except for the last one, which, in my opinion, happily never has an answer, because you could make it any answer.